My son was outside playing. He came. He was at the front gate. So he was like, Jalen, come here. Jalen, come here. So I'm like, who's calling my son? He gave my son $1. 5 minutes after talking to me and my son, he took it back.
What?
Exactly.
I'll be honest with you.
Scott.
I'll be honest with you.
Woo.
She got me confused with another dude because I never did that.
Oh
This is the only time.
Miss Scott, did you use protection?
No, it wasn't protected.
You all were only seeing one another?
Like, I was currently in a relationship when I met him originally.
So why would you do that?
He was my escape plan. He was my dummy, basically.
Things kick off with Ms. Scott McCrae suing her daughter for $3,900 in loans she says haven't been paid back. Wait, Ms. Scott has her own wild claims, saying her mom is jealous and wants her man.
Ms. Scott McCrae, you claim that you've been supporting your daughter, Ms. Scott, and her 7 children long enough.
Yes.
You say that your daughter's husband is a deadbeat, and you wish she'd leave this man and get off the system. Ms. Scott McCrae, you are suing your daughter for $3,900 unpaid loan.
Ms. Scott McCrae comes in swinging, calling her daughter's husband a deadbeat who can't hold a job. Ms. Scott isn't having it though, snapping back that her man has a job and that her mom just wishes she had a man like him. Let's just say the room gets loud and awkward real fast.
I don't want to break up my daughter and her husband, but my daughter needs a wake-up call. She's very intelligent. He's a deadbeat. He's not a good provider. He hinders his family more so, I think, than he can help. Can't keep a job for more than a week or 2.
He has a job.
When did
just
he
got
get
a
it?
job.
Last week?
It doesn't matter
And
when
how long
he
is
got
he
it.
gonna
He's
keep
working.
it? 2
So, Ms.
weeks?
Scott McCrae,
How long is he gonna keep it?
Just let it be known, Mom.
And now we're fighting about cereal. Yep, cereal. The mom says her son-in-law ate all the cereal and drank all the milk, leaving nothing for the kids. The husband denies it. But at this point, you're wondering how breakfast turned into a courtroom brawl.
One night, particularly, he went into the kitchen 3 or 4 times, and the whole night he was eating cereal. He was eating cereal.
and that's just what
Okay,
a deadbeat
That was what a bed they would do.
Okay, but did that take
However,
cereal out of my
no,
children's
it didn't
mouth?
take the
No,
cereal. They
because
couldn't
we
eat
have
the
more than
cereal.
enough. Why are you
Oh,
on
so
these
he drunk up
all the
things,
milk.
though?
You're saying
Can
for
somebody
milk.
be on little
Okay,
things like
She
that?
had to ask me.
Things turn serious when they start talking about money. Ms. Scott says her mom once gave her a bounce check that caused major problems, but the mom denies it. It's a classic she said moment, with both sides yelling over each other.
But let you tell it you paid our rent 5 and 6 months, Mom.
That's when I was staying with you when you were
But
on
when have you
Tuckasegee,
ever
and as
paid
soon
our
as I
rent for
moved
5
out,
or 6
y'all
months,
got
Mom?
evicted because you
Yeah,
couldn't
because you
continue to
gave
pay
me
the
a
rent.
bounce check.
No, I gave it. I didn't give you. I canceled $400 of it. Mike had an $800 check, but I had to take 4 of it to move out of your house because I got tired of living in the
behind our
situation.
back, though.
Ms. Scott is still upset about that check and claims it made her family lose their home. Her mom argues that she doesn't owe them anything and was just trying to help. The back and forth here is so wild, even Judge Lake can't keep a straight face.
She came to live with us from Asheville. She was in treatment. She left treatment. She cleaned. She came and lived with us. For the first year, we did not ask her for no money. Every week she got her unemployment, she used her money on her. If I did go to her for $1 here and there, okay, you living with us. She didn't have to buy no food. She did not have to do none of that. Now, at the end of the year, we got in the bind.
Just when you think it couldn't get crazier, Ms. Scott accuses her mom of doing grown-up stuff in the living room while living in their house. And yes, the kids almost saw it. The mom denies it. But by now, it's clear this family needs way more than a courtroom. They need a therapist.
Now, she's acting like a little high school girl while she was living with us, sleeping with him in the house. Like one morning, we getting the kids ready for daycare. Toy wouldn't have walked in the living room. Kids would have seen her full moon. Doing what
Having sex?
with the children.
Having sex?
You're right.
Ms. Scott drops another bomb, claiming her mom kissed her husband on the cheek, and not just a little peck. She says it was a slobbery, gross kiss. The mom says it's a lie. The damage is already done. The drama here is messier than a soap opera.
What about the
last
day when
thing
we
that
was in the
Toy helped
home
me
having a couple of drinks, Your Honor? She's about to leave. I walk her out to her car. Something just told me to, just look back out the door. She done got out her car, walked up to our car where Toy was sitting, and kissed him on his cheek. A slobbery kiss. If he would have turned his face, that would have been tongue kissing.
The husband, Mr. Young, finally gets his turn. He says the mom has made weird comments about how helpful he is, and even wanted him to help her set up a tent. Yes, a tent. He also thinks she has a crush on him, and adds that she's got some mental problems. The courtroom is now officially on fire.
She always touching me on my chest.
What chest?
She always saying, you do more than I can my son or the man I'm sleeping with to do, to have me come and do things.
God.
She even came out the blue one day to even come and get me by myself to come and pick up a tent for her. Man, she's sleeping with in the same house.
The lie detector test results are in, and here's what we find out. The mom didn't make any moves on her son-in-law and doesn't want to. Everyone's relieved. relieved, kind of, but it's still super awkward. The judge is like, can we all agree to stop being weird now?
Ms. Scott McCrae, you were asked, have you ever made any sexual advances towards your son-in-law, Toy? You said no.
No.
And the lie detector determined that was true.
Yes, it was.
Whoa, this courtroom is a total soap opera. Ms. Dixon is here to prove Mr. Froyo is her dad, even though his name's on her birth certificate and he's been denying her for years. Oh, and she's also battling cancer while sorting out her family drama. Talk about heavy.
This is the case of Dixon v. Froyo. Ms. Dixon, today you come to our court after a very difficult journey, some grave health issues in your state. You say you believe that Mr. Froyo is your father, and he has denied you since you were a little girl, even though he signed your birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dixon spills the tea on her rough past. At her grandma's funeral, Mr. Froyo told her not to cry because she's not your grandmother. Ouch. Later, he even suggested another guy might be her dad. Between her health struggles and constant rejection, this is heartbreak central.
I just want to know. I don't want him to feel sorry for me. He says he's not my dad, but he'll be there for me. I don't need a charity case, you know, if he's not my daddy. But if he is, I'd like him to know, like, I've been through so much. My grandmother passed away, his mother, in '98, told me my tears weren't needed because it wasn't my grandmother. I was 10. He told me when I was about 15 that a man named Tom Ashley was my father.
Then Ms. Dixon's mom jumps in with fire, accusing Mr. Froyo of inventing some random Tom Ashley to dodge responsibility. She claims he only denied Ms. Dixon because he wanted a son. Yikes! The courtroom is shook as Mr. Froyo claps back, and the drama is just getting started.
He would not give me a phone number, an address. He wouldn't tell me where he was taking her, and I wasn't having that. And there is no Tom Ashley. You know what? If there is a Tom Ashley, I would like to meet him because got to be a better dad than him. He denies her because she was a girl. That's why he denied her.
Is that
he
true,
wanted
Mr.
a boy.
No.
Mr. Froyo has Ms. Dixon's name tattooed with his other kids, so why deny her? He blames last name drama, leaving everyone confused. Just when it seems like things couldn't get messier, Ms. Dixon drops even more emotional truths, and the room is reeling.
He tattooed my name on his arm. Like he said he's got older children. All 4 of us are in a row, from oldest to youngest. My name's on his arm.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. Up till 5 years ago, Your Honor.
Are you serious right
You
now?
denied me in '98.
Simple reason is, Your Honor, why does Samantha have Dixon for her last name if I am true her biological father and it's not my last name?
Ms. Dixon reveals battling cancer while caring for her kids with zero support from Mr. Froyo. At 19, she had no hair and no help, yet she powered through. The judge practically begs Mr. Froyo to show some humanity, and the tension is so thick it's suffocating.
And they stayed together 5 years after I was born. And he denied me when I was 8. He denied me when I was 15. He denied me again when I was 7. I don't want anything from him physically. I just want to know that he doesn't need to be my dad to feel sorry for me. I battled cancer for 6 years by myself with nobody there. He's lost his mother to cancer. You would think being that if you thought I was your daughter, why wouldn't you want to be there?
Ms. Dixon opens up about seeking love in all the wrong places after being rejected by Mr. Froyo as a teen. She lost twins and faced even more heartbreak while he stayed distant. The courtroom is floored as her pain becomes undeniable.
I didn't have a dad. I had no male figure in my life to lay the law. My mom was working 60 hours a week to support the home. She had 2 other kids besides me. I lost my virginity and got pregnant with twins. I called Sam when I was pregnant with them twins, and he asked me if they were meant. And I told him they were. And you know what? Well, when my twins died January 17th, I called him, and he told me it was meant to happen. He showed up to the funeral because they were dead. That's the only reason why.
The results are in.
When it comes to Samantha Ashley, Mr. Froyo, you are her father.
Told you. It was Tom Ashley.
Okay, so things kick off with Mr. Jenkins throwing out some pretty wild accusations. Ms. Hensley is like, yeah, I messed up before, but this kid's yours, and I'm gonna prove it. Buckle up, folks. This drama is just getting started.
Mr. Jenkins, you say your girlfriend is a known cheater who has spent the last 2 years bouncing between you, her ex-boyfriends, and her co-worker, and can't be trusted. You say there is no way you are the father of her daughter, Asher, and this paternity doubt has put your wedding on hold.
Now we hear how their relationship is basically a slow-motion train wreck. Even though they live together, he barely helps out with Asher because he's not convinced the kid is his. Yikes. But wait, the backstory gets even messier.
It's really put the relationship on a line because I love being with her, but it's making me have more and more doubts as time goes on because I keep finding more and more cases.
Because at this point, you don't believe anything she says?
No, Your Honor.
Which is why you basically canceled the wedding?
Yes, Your Honor. I've been sleeping on the couch and doing very minimal things to help with the baby and such since I don't believe believe that it's mine.
Here comes the first big twist, and it's spicy. She's like, it was innocent, chill, but then some old texts pop up, and they're all like, miss you, or whatever. Awkward. This is just the warm-up, though.
There arose one time, when we were first together for 4 weeks, we worked at the same location. Text her, and she was going to come over and spend the night. Well, she ended up messaging me saying, hey, I'm staying late until 2 a.m. At midnight is when she was supposed to get off. And I noticed the business was already closed. Then I realized there's only 2 vehicles there, her car and her ex-boyfriend's truck.
As if the parking lot thing wasn't enough, Mr. Jenkins is now side-eyeing Ms. Hensley's co-worker. Apparently, her friends were all, girl, ditch Jenkins, but she stayed loyal. Sounds complicated, right? Just wait until we get to the baby drama.
We were working at a factory at the time. She had a fellow co-worker that would always come over and like fake nudge her, joke with her, flirt with her, talk with her, and I never could trust him. Yet one night, I went through her phone again, and she was messaging her manager about the co-worker saying he's so cute, but yet he knows about David.
All right, so even though he signed the birth certificate, Mr. Jenkins admits he's been keeping his distance from baby Asher. Like, seriously, how do you not cry at that? Jenkins is all stuck in his feelings, but things are about to take a sharp turn when the truth finally drops.
And so what is your relationship like with Asher?
I love her because I was there when she was born, somewhat helped to take care of her.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Even though you had doubt?
I was in a state of mind where I was very shocked as to what I had just seen because I had never seen a child being born before.
Why are you signing birth certificates if you have doubt?
I was completely frazzled at the time. I didn't know what was going on.
And boom, the moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results. Guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jenkins, you are the father.
Okay, this whole thing kicks off with Mr. Moore saying he's Allie Luna's dad, but claims Ms. Scott won't let him in her life. But wait, you're not gonna believe what Ms. Scott drops on us next.
You came to court today to prove you are the biological father of 4-year-old Aliana. You and your current girlfriend claim the defendant has played on your emotions for 4 years. You are desperate to put the defendant's doubt to rest so you can finally be in your daughter's life.
Ms. Scott straight up calls Mr. Moore her escape plan. Oh, but the wild stuff about her other boyfriend is just around the corner.
We met on a dating site. He was kind of like an escape plan for something that I was going through. So I wanted to,
plan.
Yeah.
Escape plan.
I wanted to get away from that, so, I kind of led him on. I wasn't trying to pursue nothing, family or anything with this man. We met together. He asked me to move in with him. We maybe stayed together maybe a month, and I left.
Things just keep getting crazier. Ms. Scott admits she was in a whole other relationship while living with Mr. Moore. Just wait until they start breaking down when this baby was actually made.
Ms. Scott, did you use protection?
No, it wasn't protected.
You all were only seeing one another?
Like, I was currently in a relationship when I met him originally.
So why would you do that?
He was my escape plan. He was my dummy, basically.
Oh, here's where it gets real. Mrs. Scott says she found out she was pregnant at a clinic in September 2013. Buckle up because the timeline of who did what and when is about to get a whole lot messier.
I found out I was pregnant September 2013. I was going to the clinic for, my yearly monthly women's exam. They came in and said, Miss Scott, you're pregnant. So I told my daughter's father that we were going to have a baby. I never, Mr. Moore, that we were going to have a baby together. I never told him that.
Your Honor, she called me and told me she was pregnant.
She did?
Yes,
never.
Get ready to have your brain scrambled. Judge Lake pulls out a conception calculator and figures out the baby was likely conceived between July 28 and August 3. But hold on, the DNA test is creeping up, and it's gonna be good.
So, when was Aliana born?
April 25th.
April 25th. If I hit calculate, the window of conception is July 28th to August 3rd. And you claim you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore in July.
We had sex, Your Honor, in July and August.
Not from my remembrance, no.
Just when you think this case couldn't get any crazier, the court pulls out pictures of Mr. Moore's other kid and Allie Luna. She's like, nope, she looks like me and my man. The court's about to hit us with the ultimate truth bomb. Stay tuned.
Your son and Miss Scott's daughter was submitted to the court. And on the left side is Mr. Moore's other child with you, Ms. Williams.
Yes. They don't look alike. Baby looks like him. My daughter looks like me, and she resembles her dad.
She looks like me. She got the same pointed ears just like I do. She has the same forehead as it resembles mine.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Moore, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this case is already wild before it even starts. In Kidd vs. Rawlings, Mr. Kidd claims Ms. Rawlings convinced him he was her baby's father, then swapped him out for someone better. Meanwhile, Ms. Rawlings insists Mr. Kidd couldn't be the dad since he told her he couldn't have kids. Things are about to get even messier.
You say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, Nathaniel, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind games have wreaked emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive are her son's father.
The testimonies begin, and it's a chaotic he said, she said showdown. Mr. Kidd says Ms. Rawlings told him he was the father, even writing him letters while he was away. Ms. Rawlings counters that she had other partners at the time. This story is just getting started.
When this first started off, she came to me and told me that he was mine. She was sending me letters when I was gone.
And so you were away when she found out she was pregnant?
I went away a month after she found out she was pregnant.
Did you tell him it was his child, Ms. Rawlings?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Rawlings admits she was juggling 2 relationships during conception, claiming she didn't know who the father was. She also says Mr. Kidd claimed he was infertile. The drama keeps building, and we're only scratching the surface.
We were in a serious relationship. I was actually at some point, once I left from being around Mr. Kidd, that I was actually staying with him.
So how often were you with Mr. Kidd and how often were you with the other guy?
Pretty much going back and forth because I was staying with him. I was leaving from being with Mr. Kidd to going with him and coming back to Mr. Kidd.
Here comes the science part, and it just makes things more confusing. Mr. Kidd's mom explains a rare blood condition that could complicate pregnancy, but not make it impossible. Despite this, Ms. Rawlings stands firm. Mr. Kidd isn't the father, and confusion reigns.
It's not a rare blood disease. I am ARH negative, and he is ARH negative. During the pregnancy, it could prevent her from having future children, or that child could pass away.
So, Mr. Kidd, did you ever tell Ms. Rawlings you didn't believe you could have children?
Yes, ma'am. I informed her of the situation because I typically, in a long-term relationship, I've never any kind of hiccup.
Ms. Jenkins arrives, convinced the baby is her grandson. She insists the baby looks just like Mr. Kidd, showing off pictures to prove her point. But everyone's still wondering, who's really the dad?
It was approximately the mid of August of 2016.
And at that time, were you aware that your son was in a relationship with Ms. Rawlings?
No.
We've never been in a relationship.
Wasn't just a sexual relationship?
No, ma'am. She just needed somewhere to stay. So I was just looking out for her, and it just became a sexual encounter.
It was an encounter?
More than one.
Accusations fly, with Ms. Rawlings accused of leading Mr. Kidd and his mom on. Meanwhile, the second potential dad also claims the baby looks like him. Are we doing paternity tests for everyone now?
Me being me as a mother, and I wasn't able to grow up with my father. Mr. Kidd can't see the moments that he's missing. At least his mom will be able to have them, and his family has some stories to tell.
But as you stand here at the defendant podium, you say you know Mr. Kidd is not your child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
We learned that Ms. Rawlings once handed over the baby to Ms. Jenkins, temporarily for help. Ms. Jenkins even had a handwritten custody note, but it only adds more confusion. This situation raises more questions than it answers.
I got a handwritten letter of custody.
Because of the fact that I had got a job that was paying $10 an hour, and I didn't have anybody to watch him. At the same time, trying to figure out who's going to watch my child and me not. That since she was there, that my child.
At that specific time, you did not have a job yet.
I know,
2 days
and
before that.
Dr. Gator explains that Mr. Kidd's infertility might not be as definite as he thought. Childhood infections could have affected his sperm, but not completely. Now everyone's on edge, just waiting for the DNA results.
So I think there's 2 separate issues here. There was an issue about RH blood. That has to do with a mother and a baby, and if there's different blood types between the father of the baby, positive and negative. And so there are various childhood infections from mumps to STIs like gonorrhea and chlamydia. Those can cause inflammation in the testicles and makes it difficult for you to emit sperm.
The results are in and the tension is high.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kidd, you are the father.
This whole thing kicks off with a bang. Judge Lake introduces Mr. Scott, who's here to dodge accusations from multiple women claiming he's their baby daddy. Mr. Scott owns up to 6 kids with 3 women, but says, no way, not number 7 with Ms. Crane. The courtroom's already buzzing, and you just know it's gonna get messier before it clears up.
Mr. Scott, you say you are appearing in court today to clear your name. You state many women,
including the defendant, have dragged your reputation through the mud, claiming you are the father of their children. You admit to having 6 kids by 3 different women, but state that the defendant is not mother number 4 with child number 7.
Mr. Scott doubts Jaylynn is his, pointing to shady calls and Ms. Crane getting rides from random dudes. Ms. Crane calls him insecure, while the judge wonders if they were ever a real couple. Then, the twist. Mr. Scott was supposedly divorced, but Ms. Crane reveals he was still hanging with his ex-wife. The drama just keeps piling on.
When we were together, her cell phone would ring, she'll walk out the room. She'll leave her cell phone with her best friend. Or like after we spend the night with each other, instead of me taking her home, she'll like walk home and I'll just peep at her and look at her and see what she's doing. And she had other dudes picking her up on her. And she admitted it to me about other dudes picking her up. I don't need to put his name out.
That's insecurity, Your Honor. Insecurity. He's a grown man.
Ms. Crane says she was 7 months pregnant when she discovered Mr. Scott was married, thanks to snooping on his phone. She even called his wife, who told her to get an abortion, and hung up. Mr. Scott admits he was with his ex, but says it's no big deal. Spoiler alert, things are about to get even wilder, with tattoos and more accusations.
Your Honor, I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't know where Marcel was. He used my phone one time. He deleted all his calls, so I went back on the internet, back to the research, called all the numbers he called, and found out he was married for 9 years.
That's true, I was married, but I've been divorced December 2009.
No, actually, he was at the woman's house, and he actually picked up the phone. So the lady was like, who is this calling from Marcel? I said, well, I'm his baby mama, his girlfriend.
Tattoos, lies, and chaos take center stage. Ms. Crane denies knowing about Mr. Scott's other kids, but he's got their names tattooed. He also claims Ms. Crane hid the baby's face during a run-in with his ex's family, which she says was to avoid harassment. And they accuse each other of cheating, like arguing over who ate the last cookie.
And he lied about all of his kids. I didn't know he had no kids.
She lied because I got tattoos all over my body. I got all my kids' names on my neck, on my back.
That don't mean nothing.
Anyway,
I didn't ask him nothing about no tattoos.
She said it was your brother.
And?
But then come to find it's another dude that's holding the baby. Well, I don't know if she still has it, but what she told me recently that she had it covered up. She has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 2.
No, Your Honor, I had 1, and that was my ex-boyfriend for 5 years.
Mr. Scott swears he didn't put those hickeys on Ms. Crane, and she claims it doesn't matter because they weren't together then. He says she kept him from doctor visits, while she says she had her reasons. The judge is clearly over it, but they still need to figure out who supported the baby.
And then while she's pregnant, she had hickeys on her neck. And I didn't give her them hickeys. You know what I mean? And when she was pregnant, she didn't even tell me she was pregnant. I said, well, let me take you to Kaiser Permanente Hospital. She told me to go to the Kaiser Permanente in Lancaster, and she's at the Kaiser Permanente in Palmdale. I care all my kids.
And so you're trying to take her to the medical appointment.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me take her.
And she's telling you she's at one branch, you at the other branch.
They argue about who did what for baby Jaylynn. Ms. Crane says Mr. Scott is a part-time dad, showing up once a year. Mr. Scott blames her for keeping him away. The judge steps in like a referee, and just then, a surprise witness enters. With more baby drama,
I got home from work. My son was outside playing. He came. He was at the front gate. So he was like, Jalen, come here. Jalen, come here. So I'm like, who's calling my son? He gave my son $1. 5 minutes after talking to me and my son, he took it back.
What?
Exactly.
I'll be honest with you.
Scott.
I'll be honest with you. She got me confused with another dude because I never did that.
I
never did that. This is the only time.
Miss Kalon arrives, claiming Mr. Scott is the father of her baby too. Things get so heated that the judge slams her gavel to keep order. Ms. Crane and Miss Kalon tag team against Mr. Scott, who's left trying to defend himself. The tension is about to explode. The DNA results are in.
He's my daughter's father too. My daughter's 4 months old.
So you claim you also have a child by him, and he's denying paternity?
He wants paternity test. I have it.
Yeah, she had no problem.
Nothing.
No, I communicate with her
It's
good. There's no problem with her.
When it comes to 3-year-old Jalen Crane, Mr. Scott, our father.
Told you! He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and
getting a ride.
what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid. I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibilities.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark says Mr. Newby bailed when she got pregnant because his new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner, filled his head with doubts. Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark was seeing someone else, and if he is the dad, wants custody because he thinks she's unfit. And just when it seems messy enough, emotions explode.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Ms. Clark shares her tough past. Her dad's decided to eliminate himself, her mom's death, and addiction struggles during pregnancy. She admits to using drugs while pregnant, but says jail helped her clean up. The crowd applauds her turnaround, but the drama's far from over. Because, of course, it's paternity court, and it only gets messier.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but, we were together for 3 months. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony.
Mr. Newby's suspicions take center stage. He thinks Ms. Clark cheated, and others kept feeding his doubts. He was initially excited about the pregnancy, even showed off the sonogram, but the gossip got to him. Then things take a strange turn involving fake baby photos.
When she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3-4 times?
No, only
Something like
once.
Grocery store.
You had doubts about being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Things get weird when Ms. Clark admits sending Mr. Newby a random baby photo from the internet. Yep, a total internet baby to test if he cared. It only made Mr. Newby more suspicious. And that's not the end. Next up, it's all about hospital visits and boundary disputes.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It sent him the picture, but I was just upset because he had left me to see if he would show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't doing that.
You showed him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had born.
Yeah.
Yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home.
Hospital drama kicks off as Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of showing up to appointments with Ms. Faulkner. She calls it disrespectful, while Ms. Faulkner claims she was just giving a ride. Clearly, no one's on the same page, and now they're arguing about who pays for what.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and
getting
what
a
does
ride
it
from
matter if I
Denver.
drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibility.
Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of barely helping with the baby. He says he tried, but Ms. Clark always refused anything from Ms. Faulkner. Judge Lake jumps in, urging Mr. Newby to take more responsibility. But you can tell this fight is far from over, especially as the fitness to raise the child gets questioned.
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever, if he wants to see him. He said, I can't right now.
That is not true.
I want to take care of the baby. I tried taking care of the baby. You would not.
And when we bought stuff for the baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I don't want it. Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts, and she did not want to want it.
But it's not your responsibility. It's his.
Our money is combined.
Yeah, the money.
I don't care.
Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark is unfit because she used drugs while pregnant. Judge Lake points out Ms. Clark's efforts to get clean, and even Mr. Newby admits she's improved. It's all leading up to the big moment. The DNA results are about to be revealed.
How are you gonna be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies?
But I
like
went
that
to
baby
jail
had
and
to
I'm
go
clean
through that
now,
for no
so-
reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Ms. Clark admitted that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Ms. Holshoe storms into court claiming her mom had a fling with the defendant's dad, making her their sister. The Howard sisters are furious and call her a liar. Ms. Holshoe points out her name in the dad's obituary, and the drama levels up with more accusations.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe says she has terminal cancer and wants closure on her dad. She heard about her real dad when her drunk stepdad spilled the tea during a fight. Her mom confirmed it, and things got messy from there.
I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I like to have family history, and I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to, because my stepdad was drunk, he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me, she took me and introduced me to DL. we had a relationship from then on.
The Howard sisters admit their dad once mentioned Ms. Holeshoe might be their sister, but brush it off, claiming her mom slept around. The courtroom erupts into a messy argument, feeling like a Thanksgiving dinner gone bad.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at a country bar. We showed up, that and her mother was there. And after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad
I don't even remember that, and she's lying, and I'm not a that. If anybody's a that, look over there.
Whatever the case may be.
The sisters talk about their dads cheating, but refuse to believe Ms. Holeshoe. They share details from their lives, like detectives solving a case they want to ignore, throwing in some mean comments about her mom.
I was in California living with my father. We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. Probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
Ms. Holeshoe says she was invited to a Howard family reunion by Mr. Howard, but the sisters lose it, calling her a liar. She claims they chased her out, which the sisters deny. It's turning into a real soap opera.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies.
It was at Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
Because how does she know where the reunion is if she was invited or someone didn't tell her?
Your Honor, I have been to every single family reunion.
And I have been
she
to...
has never been.
Is it held at that location?
I'm sure that she has this information because she's gone from my other sister.
Kelly Howard says she believes Ms. Holeshoe because their dad literally introduced her as her sister. Everyone is left wondering if their dad ever thought this situation would end well.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Met several of them before. So we go to Lynn's mother. He introduces me to her as my sister. We just went about our way after that, and I just took it as for what it was and just...
You never questioned it?
No. Our dad never lied to us.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holeshoe is 98.1%.
Two moms, Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, team up against Mr. Barber, accusing him of being a deadbeat dad. They want over $7,000 in child support, and they're not holding back. This is just the phone rings in court, making everyone laugh while the judge glares. He admits being the dad, but denies being a bad one, which makes Miss Taylor snap. This moment is funny, awkward, and just the tip of the drama iceberg. Miss Taylor says she gave birth alone, while Mr. Barber flirted on his phone. He blames work, but she's not buying it. This is just leading to more tension.
I had my daughter by myself. My mother's deceased. My family.
Kids. She compares their constant fighting to nails on a chalkboard. The moms roll their eyes, and Mr. Barber tries to act calm. Let's see if anyone steps up.
Well, used to watching people in dispute yell and scream. I can only imagine.
Mr. Barber says he grew up in group homes and didn't learn to care for others. He now works as an engineer. Miss Taylor says she's only gotten 2 packs of diapers in 5 years. Miss Johnson says Mr. Barber barely bought 3 outfits for her son. And there's more. A third baby mama is about to join.
He bought my daughter 2.
Miss Cooper, the third mom, actually defends Mr. Barber, calling the others bitter. She claims he's great with her kid. The room gets awkward, but the financial drama isn't over.
Do you feel like he treats your child differently?
No, I don't. I feel like he loves all his kids the same. I just feel like me and him have came to a common ground to co-parent. Our relationship and what we've been through, none of that matters.
Is he good?
Yes, he is. Very well.
Love.
She's a daddy's girl. She only wants to be with him.
Johnson, 3,180. She tells Mr. Barber being a dad is more than just photo ops. It's like a game show where nobody wins.
You know, it is this court.
Barber, a reality check. Time to grow up and stop letting his kids down. The moms hope he takes it seriously. It ends on a hopeful note, but this drama feels far from over.
When you got these women pregnant, you didn't know who you were. But now you said you found yourself. You know what you're passionate about. Learn to be an engineer. And when you have a client, you don't want to let the client down. You don't want to let your child. You have to now step up to the plate and be that father that you want to be.
Wow, this episode kicks off with fireworks. Miss Jackson is in court to face her husband's mistress and prove the mistress's baby isn't her husband's. Oh, and she's ready to end her marriage if she's wrong. Yep, it's going to be one of those cases. Let's go. Discovery of the affair.
Miss Jackson, you say you're here to confront your husband's mistress and to prove her 1-month-old daughter, Kiesha, is not his biological daughter.
Your Honor.
Furthermore, you say
you learn today that the child is in fact your husband's, your marriage is over.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things get real when Miss Jackson tells the story of how she found out her husband was sneaking around. Oh, but Miss Jackson wasn't having it. This was just the warm-up round of the drama.
I got an epiphany, call it woman's intuition, whatever you want. Well, I went to my husband's job. It was about 9:30 or 10:30 at night. He approached the car. We talked for a few minutes. To end our conversation, I told him, feel as though there's something going on that you hadn't told me, because he had been distant in the days prior to. I had put him out.
The mistress, Miss Lipscomb, tries to explain herself. And her story, it's wild. She says Mr. Jackson told her he wasn't married, even though he was rocking a wedding ring. But instead of smelling the lies, she bought his excuse. It's about to get even messier, so stick around.
When she came to their job, why did she come up there or why didn't she come up there? I've never seen her a day in my life. I knew her voice. I was sitting up, Mr. Jackson, and she calls and the kids calls. That's how I know her voice so high pitched. You can hear her through the phone. My BM, which is my baby mother. BM does not spell wife. Wife is spelled W-I-F.
Oh, she
not
can spell,
BM.
Your Honor. Wow.
Imagine catching your husband's mistress chilling in a hotel room you're paying for. Yeah, that happened. Miss Jackson recalls finding Miss Lipscomb at the hotel and letting her know exactly who the boss is. Spoiler alert, this showdown gets even crazier when Mr. Jackson shows up later.
Maybe a week after that, I was talking to, because my husband went to jail that night, Your Honor. I was angry enough. It was an impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor, because I knew that he had some legal issues going on in another state. The next morning, I go to the room, find Miss Lipscomb laying in the bed crying.
I told you I was going back to the room, talking to me.
Oh, here comes Mr. Jackson, looking like he just walked into a tornado. He admits he never told Miss Lipscomb he was married, saying, she didn't ask. Really? That's the excuse? The judge isn't buying it. And honestly, neither are we. What happens next is gold. Miss Jackson's generosity.
Ms. Lipscomb says she had no idea you had a wife.
No, she didn't, because I never mentioned it to her, Your Honor.
So that part of her statement is true. You never told her you were married.
No, Your Honor.
When Miss Lipscomb first started talking, I didn't believe for 1 minute that she didn't really know you were married, and confirmed the lie.
Oh, I didn't tell her no lie, I just never mentioned it to her. She never asked.
You think Miss Jackson would be done, right? Nope. She actually bought baby stuff for the mistress's kid because she felt bad. She thought the drama was over, but surprise, Miss Lipscomb admits the affair never really stopped. This mess is nowhere near cleaned up.
Not only have we had conversations, before I didn't deny the child, I went and bought over $900 and some worth of stuff for her baby. Like I told her, from the conversation, Your Honor, she seemed really distraught. She said that, I don't know how it feels not to know who your child's father is, Your Honor. Whether it's my husband's child or not, out of the kindness of my heart, Your Honor, I understand that we all have shortcomings.
Just when you think it's bad enough, Miss Jackson drops another bomb. Miss Lipscomb might have had another boyfriend during all this. She even brings receipts, aka Facebook posts, to prove it. Let's just say, things are starting to feel more like a soap opera in real life. Hang tight.
I found out when I was in jail, because I guess the beginning of the year, her birthday time, she got sick and went to the hospital. And my wife told me that she said she was pregnant then.
On her Facebook page, Your Honor, she had listed that she was going to the hospital. At that time, Your Honor, she was with another man, and I have evidence.
This piece of evidence shows that she was also dealing with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, but Mr. Jackson didn't just sign the birth certificate. He was at the hospital. He put this baby on his wife's military benefits too. Like, that's not a big deal. The audacity, off the charts. And you already know, Miss Jackson is not about to let that slide.
He can cut the cord, but he was there.
So he did come for the birth?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
You did?
So if it's not his child, why would he sign the birth certificate? Even more to speak on her
behalf. So Mr.
Jackson,
you've acknowledged paternity?
Yes.
Your Honor, that's why the baby was placed on my benefit.
Her baby is what? Anything for my
placed
child.
on my benefit, Your Honor. I also have proof of that.
At this point, the whole courtroom is on edge as these two women go back and forth like it's the finals in a shouting competition. Miss Lipscomb says Miss Jackson is just using the baby as a reason to divorce Mr. Jackson. The judge steps in to say, enough already, but trust me, the next part is gonna leave you shook.
Oh, I just believe she wants to know if this is his child so she can divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. If you want to divorce him, divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. This woman is delusional. The whole time I was pregnant,
I'm delusional,
she swore
but I'm
that
married
she
and
was
you're mixing
pregnant.
with my husband.
She's been pregnant 4 times since I have had my daughter.
She's
right here,
not
that
telling
she
you
sent
that
me
I'm
in
pregnant
May.
now. That's
You
the
sent
part
me
that
an
you hadn't
ultrasound.
admitted
I
to.
told you every time.
The moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and boom.
When it comes to 1-month-old Keasia Jackson, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
This kicks off like a reality show where nobody's winning. Mr. Burrage says he's been played and wants his name off the birth certificate, plus his money back for childcare. Mrs. Stephanies is fed up, saying Burrage was a great dad until now. Things are already wild, but they're about to get wilder.
Mr. Burrage, you've dragged Miss Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses.
Both had side flings. Welcome to the world's messiest love triangle. Burrage admits he had a girlfriend while seeing Miss Stephanies, who also had another guy. Miss Stephanies says Burrage knew what he was getting into, but things turned awkward real fast. If you thought this was messy, just wait, there's more.
I also had another woman on the side, and you had another guy on the side.
And I never knew it was a girlfriend. We were together every day since the first day we started hanging out.
No.
But when I sent you the pregnancy test and told you I was pregnant, you said what? I'm gonna be in her life. That's my child. You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt obviously that she was your child.
That's like a soap opera crossed with a bad rom-com. Burrage claims he was trapped into this baby, saying she wanted him away from his girlfriend. Ms. Stephanie says he chose to be there because he liked how she treated her kids. The judge looks like she needs a lie detector test for this one. But hey, it's just getting started.
That's my child. I'm gonna be in his or her life. He's saying that I was just something to do, but that was never my impression. Me and Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to get more than what it was.
And you also said this to me, talking like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
This is nosy neighbor heaven. Gossip galore. Burrage says neighbors told him Stephanies was seeing half the block, making him question if the baby was his. He even points out the baby's complexion is too different. Ms. Stephanies rolls her eyes like she's had enough of this nonsense. The judge starts piecing things together, but it only gets weirder.
I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stay, just come out the blue. I hit that, I hit that.
Yeah, he's going off with other people saying, ask him, does he know anything that's for sure? Not what people are saying.
Do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
I have proof, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, I don't have light blue, green, hazel eyes, Your Honor. So that's for one.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is either touching or hilarious. Burrage shares he didn't have a dad growing up and didn't want the same for Phelan, but now feels foolish. Ms. Stephanie says she thought Burrage was her ride or die, and now feels humiliated. Just when things seem settled, bam, a twist.
I really don't know who my father is, because my name ain't on the birth certificate other than what my mother tell me, but ain't no name on the birth certificate. On my generation, my close in that family, all the way to like 1874. And like far as our genetic code, we got big eyes, big nose, big lip. That baby got light eyes, little nose.
From you, Mr. Burrage, she's my child. Also, she can have my genes.
Things just got crazier. Ms. Stephanies reveals she's 5 months pregnant with Burrage's baby. Burrage says she trapped him again, while she insists otherwise. The judge looks like she could use a coffee break, and honestly, same. But the drama isn't over yet.
My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12. And ain't no telling if that's my biological father. Why would I put my children? Phelan is my 5th child. I'm pregnant again by Mr. Burrage. And what, to go through the same thing? I'm 5 months pregnant as we speak now.
She trapped me, Your Honor. She trapped me with this one.
Things get awkward fast. Stephanies admits she was with another guy, but says it ended before Phelan was conceived. Burrage isn't buying it, thinking he might not be the only possible dad. The audience practically yells at their TVs, trying to solve this like a crime drama. The tension here could power a whole city.
Have you ever had a sexual relationship with this other guy? So you have. What he's saying is you've had a sexual relationship with this guy. For some reason, you're still around him all the time.
Because
unprotected sex, Your Honor.
Was it unprotected or protected sex?
Unprotected. When I met Mr. Burrage, that relationship, no, not at the same time.
Who else? It might be another man, baby.
Not
you know they got a name for themselves.
This had everyone rolling their eyes. Burrage says Stephanies put voodoo on him, earning a look from the judge like, really? The judge points out Burrage signed the birth certificate and played dad. Stephanie says she wanted more than just a fling, and now she feels tossed aside. Finally, the moment of truth is near.
Both of you have stood in court today and testified that you feel like fools.
Yes, Your Honor. A special type of fool, though, Your Honor.
What kind?
She put some type of voodoo on me or something, Your Honor.
Acting like you don't care nothing about this girl. You are wasting my time. I'm trying to get to this paternity issue, and you trying to act like you don't care nothing about this girl. Hit it and quit it girl that you don't care nothing about.
The DNA results are the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Burrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake kicks off Butterfield versus Bracknell Dallas, a messy paternity case about baby Kara. Butterfield claims he's the father, while Bracknell insists it's her fiancé Dallas. You can already feel the chaos brewing.
Mr. Butterfield, you've summoned your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bracknell, to paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Kara. You say she's denying you are Kara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Butterfield says he and Bracknell planned for a baby, and during their breakup, she mentioned a gift. He wonders if that meant Kara feeling left out of her birth. The drama's just getting started.
Me and Mrs. Bracknell had a residence together for almost a year. We did try to have a baby together before. She had told me when we were breaking up, she said, "Thank you for the gift." And I said, "What gift was that?"
And then when you found that out, you thought to yourself, was that the gift?
The baby?
Yeah, you thought
My daughter, yes.
Bracknell says she found out about the pregnancy months after leaving Butterfield. She thinks the baby looks like her other kids with Dallas, but Dallas is ready to present some evidence next.
When did you find out you were pregnant?
Honestly, I didn't find out until, I'd say, 3 months after I did move out of his house. I was having irregular periods, so I just let it go for a minute. I'm not really a doctor person.
So what you're saying is, when this relationship ended, you didn't know you were pregnant?
No.
But once you found out you were pregnant,
How could you not? You're not having periods.
Dallas brings out a calendar, claiming Bracknell moved in with him when Kara was conceived. Butterfield claps back, insisting he was still seeing her. The mystery deepens.
So this calendar outlines the date when the relationship with Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Bracknell. Kara was conceived in mid-September, and she was born in June. And she ended the relationship with Mr. Butterfield at the end of August. There's no way Mr. Butterfield is Kara's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas declares Kara his daughter, no matter the DNA results. Butterfield insists he'll step in if she's his. The room is tense, with emotions ready to burst.
Have you ever considered how you would react if, in fact, Kara is not your biological child?
You know what, Your Honor? I'm going to love her the same. She's going to be my little daughter. I'm going to raise her my life. Nothing's going to change. I love her to death, just like I do now. He's actually made our family stronger. That's good. I'm not trying to get her back. I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life. No, you just have a...
Butterfield found out about Kara via a Facebook post with someone else holding her. He accuses Bracknell of hiding it, but she denies it. The back and forth doesn't seem to end.
Yeah, the only time that I actually ever found out that you guys were even pregnant, that's a Facebook post that they posted on that the baby was even. That's before I even knew.
It says, this little girl is ready.
Yep, that little girl is ready right there. And then I also, the only thing I got was a text message from of a friend saying of her sister holding my daughter.
Butterfield accuses Bracknell of cheating and even leaving him on his birthday. She denies everything. The tension rises as they prepare for the next round of accusations.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When I found out about it, I messaged her mom, let him know I was coming. I blocked, obviously, on their
That you were coming? Let's explain that text message.
You guys even got together.
Butterfield insists Kara is his, pointing out physical similarities. Bracknell counters, saying Kara resembles Dallas and her other kids. Everyone's waiting for the DNA test to decide.
She looks more like me. Even her own family says it. They look like me. She's got my nose, she's got my lips, she's got my brown hair. All her boys are blonde.
Yep, and they've gone brown the older they get.
Exactly.
So you are convinced, Mr. Butterfield, this is your daughter?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced.
Judge Lake asks if Dallas would stay if Kara isn't his, and he says yes without hesitation. His devotion is clear, but the DNA results will soon shake everyone.
So therefore, if in fact Kara is not your biological child, will you be able to continue this relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?
Well, break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not
that.
a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. It was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
How do you, what?
I couldn't hear you.
It's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly.
Ms. Nichols says Mr. Young denies being her 13-month-old daughter's dad. Mr. Young insists she was pregnant before they met. The awkward finger-pointing begins, and it only gets messier.
Ms. Nichols, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Young, to court today because you say he denies he's the father of your 13-month-old daughter, Sine. You say it's time for him to step up and take responsibility. You say you refuse to accept Sine because you claim that Ms. Nichols was already pregnant when you began your relationship.
Ms. Nichols says she left Mr. Young because he cheated, while Mr. Young says she practically moved in after a Facebook chat. Their stories are worlds apart, and the drama is just getting started.
He actually started denying her when I moved out of his house because he was cheating. I've known Mr. Young for 19 years. We met when we were 15 years old, and when I met him again on Facebook, you know, we automatically moved in together.
We didn't automatically move in. She hit me up on Facebook, talking about because she'd been trying to find me. Came over, she was still on the same thing she was when I first met her, trying to get back.
Mr. Young claims Ms. Nichols had a sugar daddy paying her bills. She admits he helped, but denies anything more. This sugar daddy gave rides, meals, and cash, which only makes this mess even crazier.
And who is this man?
He's a friend of mine.
Do you have sex with him?
No, I do not.
You don't have
How
sex?
old is he?
73.
Whoa. He calls him your sugar daddy. What does he do for you?
Any and everything I ask him to. Since he wants to go there, he had no problem with this man when we were hungry, and I would call him and he would bring us something to eat. You know, anything I called and asked this man for, he would come.
The court tries to sort out the pregnancy timeline, but Mr. Young says the dates don't add up. Ms. Nichols says the baby was born early, but Mr. Young's not buying it. Tensions rise just in time for the lie detector results.
Do you remember the night you believe you conceived?
I say around the middle of November, around the 15th, give or take.
This conception date, your due date would be approximately August 12th, 2015. And when was Sine born?
May 28th. She was 11 weeks early, Your Honor.
This leads you to believe this is not your biological child.
Then this just didn't really just add up to me. It was dark and...
It says Ms. Nichols was truthful about not sleeping with anyone else, but she lied about her sugar daddy. Mr. Young jumps on this as proof, just as birth certificate drama heats up next.
When we asked you if once you began a sexual relationship, did you have sexual intercourse with anyone else, you said yes.
Wow.
And the lie detector determined you were being truthful.
Mr. Young says he never signed the birth certificate, but the court shows it with his name on it. There's even a photo of him cuddling the baby at the hospital. Just when you think it can't get more dramatic, the DNA results come in.
So you say you didn't sign this birth certificate?
I don't recall signing nothing, ma'am.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yes, he was there. That's him while she was still in the hospital.
That's a beautiful picture. You don't look like you have doubt in that picture.
Your Honor, her attitude and the way she treats me, bogus. That's why I want to make sure that I'm taking care of a child that's mine.
Mr. Young, you are her father.
And surprise.
This wild case kicks off with Benning vs. Bodine. Mr. Benning suspects he isn't the father after his partner's affair, but Ms. Bodine insists he is. Get ready, things are about to get heated.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in couples court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children.
Mr. Benning talks about his deep bond with his daughter, Robin. He dreamed of having a daughter after losing his mom, and Robin was his dream come true. But knowing what's coming next makes this feel like the calm before the storm.
First off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. After she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
So important. I waited first.
While Ms. Bodine was giving birth, Mr. Benning got a text saying someone else was the father. Despite the shock, he signed the birth certificate and stayed calm. His loyalty in that moment is impressive, but things are about to unravel.
It actually happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla as she was pushing this baby out, and I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital, and I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
Ms. Bodine had already tested another possible father, and it came back negative. Mr. Benning isn't reassured, wondering if there are more possibilities.
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up, did the woman and the mother thing I had to do, and got the other guy tested.
Oh.
And he wasn't the father.
And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did.
That the probability of paternity between you and this other guy is 0%.
Yes.
The tension keeps building. Mr. Benning talks about how hard it is to raise Robin while doubting she's his. He describes the pain of people claiming to be her dad. Just when it's almost too much, the DNA results come in.
Stan, what does that feel like when she says that to you, Mr. Benning?
That little girl right there is my mother come back to be with me.
And
when
she
you tell me
looks
that,
like your
when you
mother.
tell me
She's
she's
her
not mine, it feels like you're taking my mother away from me again.
Look at them. Look, they're twins.
She's beautiful.
They are.
They do look a lot alike.
The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Benning, you are not the father.
What the?
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson hasn't done anything for their 18-month-old daughter, Arian. He denies being the father and doesn't think he belongs there. Drama's about to heat up, and it gets spicy real quick.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Goodson has done nothing for your daughter, but today, that's going to change.
Miss McCrary vents about Mr. Goodson barely being around for their daughter. She gets emotional about having her first child and how much Arian means to her. This story is full of layers, and it's about to get deeper.
He has been to a certain extent. One hand, how many times?
One hand in 17 months, you can count?
Yes, Your Honor, and counting.
And when you see her?
That's my miracle baby. You know, conceive. You know, when you're in a relationship with a man for so many years, you know, you have unprotected sex, you're trying to get pregnant, things of that nature, it doesn't happen. You think you can't get pregnant.
Miss McCrary claims Mr. Goodson ignored her and their baby when she saw him with his other family. He denies it, saying he didn't see the child. It's a heated back and forth, and neither is backing down.
Did you walk past Arian in the store and not even acknowledge her at all?
That's not true. We actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming, and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess she was going to get an item or something. And we never said, I didn't even know that Arian was with her. Yes,
But you are not acknowledging that you are the father of this beautiful baby.
Mr. Goodson says their relationship started casually, but then caught feelings. He accuses Miss McCrary of being secretive with her phone. This fling is getting messy, and the drama is just beginning.
Every time we got together, it was like her phone used to ring a lot, and she come over there. You know, we stayed on two different sides of town. She'll come over there probably a day or two, and I might not hear from her, a couple more days after that, or whenever she's around. Her phone is just constantly going off, and she was always secretive about it, so.
What was the nature of this?
It was friends hanging out, and
Miss McCrary reveals Mr. Goodson was still married when they were together. Judge Lake reminds everyone that separated isn't divorced. The situation is wild, and it only gets crazier.
You wanted to make things a little more serious. How serious could it get when you already had another person?
Well, we was married but separated, and she was just like, nah, that's not what I want right now, and this, so,
But do you blame her maybe being a little nervous because even though you were separated, you were still married? And I always say a man is married until he is divorced.
Okay.
It's just, that's the way it is.
Miss McCrary vividly describes the night she thinks she got pregnant, complete with a stop at American Deli. She talks about their unprotected fun and how sure she is about the timing. Just when you think that's enough, the details keep coming.
He picked me up that night from work, July the 10th. If I'm not mistaken, we got American Deli, okay? He likes to eat. I like to eat. Not a problem. Extra chicken, extra cheese, sub sandwich. When you're grown, you're nasty, you get in tune. I like the things he do to me, vice versa. We enjoy each other. Why not? We're grown. We hadn't had protected sex, so come on. At the end of the day.
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson initially promised to support her, but then backed out. He now questions why she even called him, claiming they hadn't been intimate for months. The tension keeps rising, and the arguments are about to explode.
What happens when you find out you're pregnant?
Well, of course, I told family members they were up for my decision, and I had to just sit and, think about it. So when I told him, he was just up for it. I rub your stomach, take you to doctor's appointment. I just felt like, oh, okay, well, maybe he heard from me. Got me thinking that, it's gonna be all okay. It was not all okay. I didn't want to be by myself.
Mr. Goodson claims Miss McCrary admitted to being with someone else during the pregnancy. He's skeptical due to a previous false paternity claim. The drama keeps escalating with no end in sight.
Thought about it because as a woman, you saying a real woman shouldn't have sex with other men, but at the end of the day, when you go back to your dates, a real woman know who she having sex with. When I told him my date and I went back and told him when it happened, why, what we was doing, it could be a possibility. Oh yeah.
Mr. Goodson admits he visited the hospital after the birth, but didn't sign the certificate because of doubts. Miss McCrary argues he should have stepped up anyway. Now, DNA results are coming, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Did you sign the birth certificate for Arian?
No, I did not. I just didn't want to tie myself to that responsibility until I knew that she was mine.
It takes two, Your Honor. You come with chump change. Don't do that. You help me. If I have something I don't have, I'm gonna tell you what I have. You can't even foot a half bill. And then, come on now, you saying that I bailed out on you. Make it make sense, baby.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Judge Lake opens Thomas v. Zachary, with Mr. Thomas wanting a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah. He says he was tricked into signing the birth certificate and now faces child support. Miss Zachary insists he's the dad and should step up.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now. Now, you've been notified that you will be paying because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses.
The relationship timeline is a roller coaster. Breakups, reunions, and a surprise pregnancy. Mr. Thomas thought the baby was his until doubts crept in. Now he questions everything, and it's about to get intense.
Your Honor, me and Rakaya were separated towards July, maybe for a couple weeks. August, we got back together, towards the end of August, beginning of September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests that day.
Your Honor, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home. I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
Mr. Thomas claims the pregnancy timeline is way off from what he expected. He believes Ms. Zachary lied, but she says she was carrying twins, which changed things. More drama follows as they revisit their break.
First time ever having twin children, and I didn't know at the time that I was even carrying twins.
We went to the doctor, maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and the doctor was telling her, yeah, you need to stop smoking cigarettes. Telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking cigarettes. Here's her paperwork. And he showed me the paperwork, and it said 15 or 17 weeks or something like that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all.
No.
Ms. Zachary admits seeing someone else during their break, but still claims Mr. Thomas is the dad. He's not buying it and questions her actions. Their arguments escalate, making the courtroom feel tense.
I had been on a break over a month and a half when I was with the other guy in July.
A break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not a
that.
break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. There's no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
The couple shares their grief over losing one twin, Heather. Mr. Thomas says his way of coping was different, and Ms. Zachary says it made her feel he doubted the babies were his. The heartbreak only adds to the tension.
We had twins. Hannah is a twin. It was Hannah and Heather. Heather was the big one. She ended up passing away a month after she was born.
I'm sorry.
Right, what did you put me through the whole time? Was you supportive on that?
We grieved in 2 different ways. Oh my God, I don't want to leave the house. I'm stressed. Like, she was looking at me like I didn't have any type of sympathy about what was going on.
Ms. Zachary kept seeing the other man after Hannah was born. Confirmed by Mr. Thomas's stepdaughter, she saw another man around their home, even in their bed. Things keep unraveling as more secrets emerge.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Matter of
That's
fact,
how it was, because we decided that we wasn't going to be together.
We've
been on and off for 5 years.
The guy that's Hannah's dad, he just slept with her 2 weeks ago.
Really,
We were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, says Ms. Zachary showed him pictures of another possible dad. He claims she seemed unsure who the father was. This adds more weight to Mr. Thomas's demand for a DNA test.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
The reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason, one time me and, Rakaya was hanging out in the house. They had got into it. He had left to get some air. She had actually showed me pictures of who she really thought was the baby's dad.
Judge Lake decides a DNA test is necessary after hearing all the chaos. Both Mr. Thomas and Ms. Zachary agree, clearly anxious about what's coming. The courtroom clears with everyone anticipating the results.
Anything you'd like to say, Ms. Zachary?
I just want to say I made mistakes. I never meant to hurt anybody. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I just want him to be her dad. That's it.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
This case starts wild. Ms. Jones wants Mr. Houston to pay for their baby, but Mr. Houston and his mom say this is all about jealousy. Buckle up, this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Jones, you and your mother say you are tired of the defendant's denial. He's the biological father of your 6-month-old son, and once the DNA results prove your claim, you demand to be reimbursed for Baby Lyric's child care expenses.
Ms. Jones dumped Mr. Houston before prom, calling him immature, while he accuses her of cheating. His mom even brings up some suspicious texts, but Ms. Jones denies everything. Drama keeps piling up as they discuss the pregnancy.
Well, Your Honor, he was so immature that I had to break it off with him a week before prom. He let everybody in his ear. He doesn't have a brain for himself.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
In high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Houston, do you think for yourself?
No.
You don't? Who thinks for you?
Yes, you do, honey.
Ms. Jones waited until she was 8 months pregnant to tell Mr. Houston, avoiding his family's drama. Mr. Houston's mom thinks it's just to cause problems for him and his new girlfriend. More bombshells are coming.
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant. And then, once I scheduled the date for my actual appointment to see how far along I was a whole month pregnant because of all the drama that I went through with being with him. And so I knew that they were probably going to deny my baby. I told him when I was 8 months because I had
told him when you were 8 months?
Yeah.
Oh, my mom.
Mr. Houston's girlfriend and mom claim Ms. Jones mentioned other possible dads. Ms. Jones denies it, insisting she was only with Mr. Houston. His mom adds stories about shady phone calls, and tensions rise.
He seen Nigel come in and he said, is this the dude that dated Nakisha? And I said, yeah, that's him. And he was like, the dude told me, and that's over there, Stock told him that he was the father of her child.
How was I even supposed to cheat or anything when I was with him the whole time?
No,
when
you
did I
were
ever
not.
have time to
No,
cheat?
you were not.
I was working
Yes,
the whole time.
she was
I
back.
at the house. So when did I ever have time to cheat?
The judge steps in, scolding Mr. Houston for being jobless and his mom for not teaching him responsibility. She delivers the truth. If you're making babies, get a job. The courtroom applauds, gearing up for the DNA reveal.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
How do you, what?
I can hear you.
It's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly. Mr. Houston, you are the father.
Boom!
Yeah. Miss Jones?
Mr. Reed says it's impossible he's Lucas's dad, and the judge kicks off Whittier v. Reed. He doubts he's the father due to medical reasons, while Ms. Whittier just wants them to stop fighting. This case is about to get messy, so buckle up.
Ms. Whittier, you say that you are sure Mr. Reed is the father of your 22-month-old son, Lucas, but the defendant's paternity doubts have led to constant fighting and tension in your relationship. You desperately hope to prove he is the father to save your family.
One bad argument turned everything upside down. Ms. Whittier blurted out, "How do you even know he's yours?" Oops, big mistake, because Mr. Reed started doubting everything. Things are already awkward, and it's about to get worse when the exes show up.
Shortly before Lucas's birth, we had an argument. That argument led to the ultimate gonna shut him up kind of moment. So I said, well, how do you know if it's even yours?
You say that in the argument?
Yes. I never doubted it was his, but I just kind of wanted to end the argument and let it be done. And I've regretted that statement ever since I made it.
Their love story starts like a failed movie rescue. Mr. Reed thought Ms. Whittier's kid was drowning, but she was just swimming. Heroic fail led to dinner, sparks flying, and romance. It was all great until exes and arguments crashed the party.
Tried to save my toddler that he thought was drowning. He didn't realize she could swim.
Oh, that's cute.
It was a baby, and she was adorable, cute little stubby thing running around the pool in a little swimmer diaper. Jumps in the pool, so I'm laying in a lawn chair, getting my tan on. Now, here she goes. I look up, she jumps in the pool, and I'm right behind her, and I come up looking for her, swimming around.
Enter the exes, and it turns into a full-on soap opera. Mr. Reed's ex whispers, "What if Lucas isn't yours?" While Ms. Whittier's ex sends a not-so-great video. Trust issues everywhere.
When did the plot twist come?
With his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
The conflict started between me and her. Well, then she starts whispering in his ear, oh, well, what if it's not yours? There was some argument. An ex of mine decided to be disgusting, send a very vulgar message to my phone. He found it and thought that maybe there was some continuing relationship there.
Ms. Whittier faced a scary blood clot during pregnancy and called Mr. Reed for support. Despite his doubts, he came to be by her side, proving he still cared. They survived this, but bigger challenges awaited after Lucas was born.
Until I got sick. I had a blood clot, and they put me in the hospital, put me on blood thinners, and they said the blood thinners carry a massive risk, neither one of you making it through. And I called him and I said, you need to come home.
I'd never been so scared in my life.
And I told him that I didn't know if Lucas was gonna make it.
All I could do not to cry too, but I knew as a man that I needed to be strong.
Baby Lucas started having seizures and was diagnosed with albinism, leaving his parents in shock. Mr. Reed, proud of his healthy genes, couldn't understand it, fueling more doubts. The The court brought in an expert to explain this condition.
On its surface, when they first told me, I laughed because I didn't realize how serious it was. We all hear the word albino. Nobody actually thinks about what it means. And suddenly you realize it doesn't just mean that he's pale and blonde and blue-eyed. It means that his skin can't take sunlight.
The only huge doubt I had is the albinism. That was a physical proof.
The genetics expert explained that albinism comes from recessive genes, which can happen even if neither parent shows it. Science is weird like that. It helped clear things up, but Mr. Reed still needed solid proof.
Albinism is passed genetically from the parents to the child, but depending on which gene is affected, depends on whether both parents or one parent passes it.
Oh.
Normally, albinism trait or recessive, and when it meets a copy of itself, meaning both parents having the albinism, the same gene affected, then it becomes dominant.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reed, you are the father. And I have to ask you, do you believe you are Skyla's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
That's her ex-boyfriend, my daughter's.
Wait a minute now. Miss Cooper, this is your ex-boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor. That was a mistake, Your Honor.
And that is not the person that was supposed to stay in that apartment. It was someone from California that was advised to me. That's who was going to stay in the apartment.
She wanted me to stay in the apartment after her son passed away.
You
when
came
she
and
was
stayed
moving.
there when you were pregnant.
Yes, I did come to stay there. And the time when I was staying there and after I moved back to my parents' big house.
Okay, hold on.
So her ex is your friend?
Yeah, told me if I...
Now we're getting places.
Well, we were
okay.
friends. We were friends.
So you went over there, got the car, but when you get to her house, your boy's girl was flirting.
No, she didn't flirt till I left. Like 5 minutes later, she sends me a text message.
Oh.
Get ready for some wild stuff. Ms. Autry claims Ms. Martin is tricking her son by saying her daughter Skyla is his kid. She's super sure she has proof that Skyla isn't her granddaughter. The room is buzzing because both sides are ready to rumble. Stick around. The excitement is just starting.
Ms. Autry, you say the defendant is taking advantage of your son by pinning a baby on him, and you have physical proof that her 2-year-old daughter Skyla is not your grandchild.
Oh boy, did that really just happen? Ms. Martin stands her ground, saying Ms. Autry just doesn't like her, and that's why she's denying Skyla is her granddaughter. She's really hoping the DNA test will clear things up. It's getting tense as Ms. Martin looks for a thumbs up from the court. The show's just getting good. Don't go anywhere.
Ms. Martin, you claim that the plaintiff is a monster-in-law and is denying your daughter only because she doesn't like you. You need help and hope to get some once the results are revealed.
Wow, things just got spicy. The judge steps in as Ms. Autry throws some not so nice words at Ms. Martin. The judge wants everyone to play nice so they can get to the bottom of this mess. The court's trying to keep things cool, but the heat's still on. Guess what happens next? It's a hoot.
Well, she entrapped my son by marrying him, by giving him things like money, clothes, cars, and she just wanted a man to call on because she ain't no old tramp.
Wait a minute now. Let's use respectful language. I want to understand this. You say she entrapped him, but she's giving him money. She's doing this. She wanted a man of her own.
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Autry, really? Why would you say that, Miss Autry?
Because you do, Miss Tramp.
You've got to hear this. Ms. Autry tells a wild tale about trying to crash Ms. Martin's wedding. She found out last minute and dashed over there to put a stop to it, showing just how far she'd go to break things up. This bit is just nuts, and just when you think it can't get any zanier, it does.
Because I got a phone call, so I was getting married down to my house, so I was on my way walking down there to start the marriage to my friend. That's why I was going out to go start the wedding.
She tried to stop the wedding, Your Honor. She tried to stop the wedding.
Way too close so you can get married to him.
You can't talk that fast, then turn to the side. I can't even read your lips. I felt like I was at an auction or something. I was like, what?
Just when I thought it was all over. Despite Ms. Autry's wedding crash attempt, Ms. Martin says they just moved the party elsewhere and tied the knot anyway. The whole wedding crew just picked up and moved, showing they're not giving up without a fight. And the craziness doesn't stop there. More wild stuff is on the way.
But you all ended up getting married on that day anyway, in another location.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your whole wedding party follow you? Now I'm curious.
Yes.
Ms. Autry trailing behind? Well, I don't get how that worked.
I didn't have no choice. I ain't had no car. If I'd had a car, I went right on behind them. And there wouldn't have been no wedding.
She's crazy, Your Honor.
So you've never cared for Miss Martin?
It ain't so much as I never cared for Miss Martin. It's just that...
This part is too funny. Ms. Autry is now talking about toes and eyebrows, claiming these bits don't match up so Skyla can't be her grandkid. The judge is trying to keep a straight face listening to this toe tale. Hold on, because there's more funny business coming up.
She don't have the toes like my son.
Yes,
his
she
toes
does.
cross,
Yes,
his big toe is here and his toe next
They
to his
overlap.
toe. It crawls over like that. And I have proof, Your Honor, that is not his baby because her toes don't do that.
Yes, they do,
and she
Your
don't have
Honor.
the thick eyebrows prize as me and my son and my daughter have. So I know
they
that's
haven't
not my
grew
son's
yet.
face.
I mean, they grew.
All right,
You act
who-
like she's supposed to come out with full-blown eyebrows.
She do.
No, she does.
He did.
All right.
You won't see this one coming. Ms. Martin drops a bombshell. She once told her hubby Skyla might not be his to hurt him because he had hurt her. This big reveal throws a curveball into the whole paternity puzzle, and everyone in the court is on the edge of their seats. The next part is even more jaw-dropping.
You told him, your husband, that this was not his child?
Yes, Your Honor. I was trying to hurt him. He left me to go be with another woman, and I was trying to hurt him like he hurted me.
Did you sleep with another man?
Yes, Your Honor. Prior to him coming back into my life.
And she was already pregnant.
No,
Is there any chance that man could be Skyla's biological father?
No, Your Honor.
Get a load of this twist. Just when you thought it was all figured out, Mr. Gott steps into the picture, claiming he might be Skyla's dad. This guy used to date Ms. Autry's daughter, which just makes everything more of a soap opera. You'll totally flip when you hear what he has to say.
And I have to ask you, do you believe you are Skyla's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
That's her ex-boyfriend, my daughter's.
Wait a minute now. Miss Cooper, this is your ex-boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
That was a mistake, Your Honor.
Ms. Martin, you slept with your sister-in-law's boyfriend?
Yes,
Now
Your
who
Honor.
crazy, Your Honor?
That was before, Your Honor.
Are you ready for the grand finale? They finally open the envelope with the DNA results. And guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Martin.
I'll take that for 200, Your Honor. I told you.
And you believe this? Ms. Hall is super mad at Mr. Richards because he won't admit he's the dad of their 1-month-old Damani. She and her mom are totally ticked off, saying Mr. Richards is ignoring them and the baby. Just wait for what's coming up next. It's a doozy.
Ms. Hall, you and your mother are furious with the defendant because he denies your 1-month-old son, Damani, and does nothing to support him.
Oh boy, did that just happen? Mr. Richards is tossing back the blame, claiming Ms. Hall just wants him to be the daddy because she likes him too much. He tells her to go find the real dad because it ain't him. Hang tight, the judge has got a zinger coming up.
Mr. Richards, you believe that Ms. Hall is claiming you are the father because she wants to be with you. You say Ms. Hall was thirsty for love and she needs to go find her child's real dad.
Whoa, did he really just say that? When the judge asks if he's done anything for the baby, Mr. Richards is like, nope, nothing. He's sticking to his story that he's not the dad. No way, no how. Buckle up because the courtroom's about to get even spicier.
Mr. Richards, you haven't done anything for the child at all.
No, ma'am.
Admittedly.
No, ma'am.
And that's because you sincerely doubt paternity?
Yes.
What's the nature of this relationship? Tell me, what was going on here? The baby's just 1 month old and everything fell apart already?
You gotta hear this. Ms. Hall spills the beans about their past. They dated before, then he ghosted her. But guess what? He texted her again and bam, back together for a hot minute. Don't wander off. The plot thickens in a flash.
A couple years back, he broke my heart. Then I decided he hit me up to give him another chance.
You all were boyfriend and girlfriend a couple years ago, or you were just dating?
We're dating.
And then somehow he comes back into the picture because if he's potentially the father of
He instant
Damani,
messages hitting her up, talking about, hey, and it went from there.
So you reached back out to her, Mr. Richards?
Yes, ma'am.
You did do that?
Yes.
Hold your socks. It's about to get wild. They dive into this whole thirsty business, with Mr. Richards explaining it means tricking someone with sweet nothings just to get what you want. Stick around because the truth gets even juicier.
So how is she thirsty if he hit her up?
Thirst is going both ways, ma'am.
But he called her thirsty, though.
I would admit I
How's
was
it
being
going both ways
thirsty
when he called her
also.
thirsty?
Okay, hold on. What
So-
does thirst mean? Does thirst mean, what does that mean?
Let me tell you, it's the fact that I knew I wasn't gonna have a long relationship with her, but when you feed somebody the lines that you know they wanna hear, that's thirst to get what you want from them.
Get this, Ms. Hall and Mr. Richards only chilled for a week. They got back together, didn't bother with protection, and whoops, here comes trouble. Don't flip the channel. The judge's reaction is priceless.
It ended bad, but in the same token, I did like him. When he hit me up, it kind of, I think I should give him another chance. Maybe it'll work out this time. But
All right. At what point, so you all start obviously having sex again, using protection all the time or not?
No.
So how long did this relationship go on?
Basically a week.
A week?
Oh snap, Ms. Hall didn't even want to tell Mr. Richards about the baby at first because he was such a jerk when they split. She kept it hush-hush until her mom nudged her to spill the beans. Keep your eyes peeled, big reveal is just moments away.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
When I was 4 months.
Did you immediately think it was Mr. Richards' child?
I knew, but I didn't want to tell him because how we broke up and how disrespectful he was to me. I didn't tell nobody until me and my mom sat down.
I told her, even if it's gonna be a problem, tell him so he can't never say that he didn't know and that you never told him.
Here it comes, the big kahuna. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richards, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Angela Monroe kicks off the show with a real soap opera scenario. Her son has passed, and a lady named Shaneka claims she's carrying his baby. Angela, battling a serious illness, desperately wants to know if the little one is indeed her grandkid. Stick around, it gets even spicier.
My name is Angela Monroe. My son Herbert died on January 27, 2015. After my son passed, a young lady named Shaneka Reed, which is the defendant, told me that she was pregnant from my son. The baby was born on May 31st, 2016. I really would like to know if Iyanna Monroe is my granddaughter.
Guess what popped up at the funeral? Angela spills the beans about how she found out about Shaneka's bun in the oven right after her son's funeral. Talk about a shocker. The drama is just warming up, folks.
How and when did you find out about Ms. Reed's pregnancy?
I found out after my son passed, after his funeral. She came by the house and she said, I have something to tell you. And she said, well, I'm pregnant. I really didn't know what to say at first. I was kind of stunned because I wasn't expecting that.
And so, how far along was Ms. Reed when she told you?
I believe it was about 5 months.
And boom! Shaneka drops a bomb about her pregnancy to Angela, who just lost her only child. Shaneka was halfway to her due date by then. Next up, watch the tempers start to flare.
After a week after her son passed and after she laid him to rest, I called her. I wasn't even gonna let her know that I was pregnant with his child, but I was encouraged by family members and friends due to the fact that she has lost her only. So I gave her a call. I told her that I was pregnant by her son, and I told her that I was almost 5 months pregnant.
Things start getting a bit sticky here. Angela chats about how tight she was with her son, who never peeped a word about Shaneka or any baby-making business. Hold on to your popcorn, because the tea is about to spill.
So, Ms. Monroe, you were very close to your son.
Yes.
And did he ever tell you the fact that he may have a baby on the way?
Knowing my son, he would come to me about certain things, but when it came to her being pregnant, that wasn't mentioned to me at all. I do have a granddaughter, which he let me know that this person was pregnant, but I had no knowledge of this baby.
Ready for a twist? Shaneka paints a lovey-dovey picture of her and Angela's son planning to shack up together, which Angela quickly calls bogus, insisting the apartment lease was in her name too. Ooh, the plot thickens.
Second week on us hanging together, he already had made it up in his mind that he wanted me to be his life companion. When she was moving out, I was supposed to move into his apartment.
Had you met Ms. Monroe? Did you meet his mother?
Yes, I did meet her.
And the thing about that was our apartment, me and my son's apartment.
You even said this is Ian's apartment.
Yikes, raise your shields. A fiery debate breaks out over who paid what and who lived where, digging up a whole garden of beef between Angela and Shaneka. And guess what? It's not over yet.
Nobody can take my son. God took my son from me. I wasn't gonna leave my son to be anywhere else. And that is not the person that was supposed to stay in that apartment. It was someone from California that was advised to me. That's who was gonna stay in the apartment.
She wanted me to stay in the apartment after her son passed away.
You came and stayed there when you were pregnant.
Yes, I did come to stay there. And the time when I was staying there and after I moved back to my parents' big house.
Okay, hold on.
Hold your horses. Here comes a doozy. Post-baby birth, Angela's thrilled but skeptical, especially when Shaneka starts pressing for DNA test money. Tension's cranking up, and you won't want to miss what's next.
They called me after the baby was born. Of course I was excited. Well, if you don't have nothing for her, you're gonna pay for the DNA. That costs $400. I said, well, you pay half, I'll pay half.
Why would I pay half on a DNA test that I'm not gonna get the results from? And then you could just say, oh no, I got the results, and then say, you're not the grandmother of this baby. No, I'm not gonna pay. That's what you don't understand.
All right, everyone, lean in. As the DNA results are about to drop, Judge Lake tries to simmer down the feuding duo, hoping to patch things up for the sake of the kiddo involved. The big reveal is on its way, and it's a game changer.
Ms. Reed, if in fact this is Mr. Monroe's biological daughter, would you allow Ms. Monroe a chance to be in her life and be a grandmother and get to know her son's daughter?
I would not stand in the way of that relationship. I would not.
That's what I wanted to hear. Let's focus on the paternity question. Let's focus on Iyanna, because ultimately that's what's important.
Here it comes, the big kahuna.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Angela Monroe and Iyanna Monroe is 99.98%.
Things kick off with a bang in the courtroom. Judge Lake gets everyone seated, and Jerome rolls out the case of Bell v. Clemens. Mr. Bell claims he's shelled out $7,000 on a kiddo he's sure isn't his, and accuses his ex, Ms. Clemens, of pulling the wool over his eyes. He's betting all his chips that the DNA test will clear his name. Strap in, folks. The roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Mr. Bell, you say you've spent approximately $7,000 caring for a child you are positive is not your son, and you know who the father is. You say your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Clemens, duped you into believing her 8-month-old son, Major, is yours, but you are certain today's DNA test will prove you are not the father.
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes a curveball from Ms. Clemens. She throws Mr. Bell's accusations right back, insisting the DNA test will show he's indeed the daddy of little Major. She talks up all the stuff Mr. Bell has done for them, like moving states and buying loads of baby gear, making it clear he's been super involved. Buckle up. It's about to get even wilder from here.
Ms. Clemens, you say Mr. Bell's accusations are false, and you're certain the test will prove Major is his son. So, Mr. Bell, what have you done for Ms. Clemens and her son?
I've done everything, Your Honor. I moved from California to go be out there with her with the baby, diapers, car notes, strollers, boxes, done everything that I feel like a father should do for his child. So I've done it all.
Mr. Bell drops a bombshell that turns heads in the courtroom. He's all twisted up about the baby's looks, especially his lighter skin, which doesn't match his expectations. He drops a hint about a white guy buzzing around Ms. Clemens, which cranks up his worry meter about who the real dad might be. Crowd can't help but gasp. You won't believe what flies out of the hat next.
So why do you feel she duped you?
Cause the baby looked like this baby. I'm expecting a chocolate baby, and this baby came out white.
Come on now. My son's life is not a game. Every baby comes out light.
You're saying the only reason you believe Miss Clemens duped you is because the child didn't come out the shade you thought it should?
Yeah, and there's a white guy involved. That's why.
Ms. Clemens grabs the mic to clear the air. She explains the white guy is just a client who wanted his hair braided. Nothing fishy there. She stresses there was zero romance, just some hair business. The court buzzes as they chew on this new tidbit about racial expectations and innocent hair appointments. Get ready for a twist that'll make your head spin.
So far as the white guy, we had no physical. He texted me. The day that he seen the message, we actually met the day before that, and he wanted me to do his hair. It was never nothing physical, nothing. So
wait, the white guy wanted you to do his hair?
Yes.
The white guy won't braid.
He has braids in his hair.
Okay, I actually have seen that before. So he wanted to get his hair braided. You're saying you've never heard of such.
Here comes the showstopper, Mr. Bell's photo evidence. Pulls out a photo book to prove his point about the baby's unexpected light skin, even throwing in a baby morph pic to show what he thought the baby would look like. It's his way of saying, something's fishy here, folks. Hang tight, because the next reveal is a doozy.
Okay, Your Honor, this is me. As you can see, I'm dark skinned, not super dark, but I'm a dark skinned, you know what I'm saying, fella? And this is Miss Clemens, and you see she's like a cinnamon brown, you know what I'm saying? So I did a baby morph, what looked like with all, you know, with it being us, and this is what I got. And then this is my son. And this is what come out. This is how he come out, a white boy with an afro.
He looks at the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bell, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you. It took all of this. It took all of this just to show you. It doesn't make sense. It took all of this.
Guess what? This circus is just getting started. We dive into the case of Kane versus Wright, where the air is thick with drama over who's the daddy of little Ariana. Everyone's on edge, waiting to see how this wild ride of trust issues and bumpy love unfolds. Get ready, the roller coaster is leaving the station.
Ms. Kane, now you say you've had an on-again, off-again relationship with Mr. Wright past 3 years. In addition to questions regarding your daughter's paternity, you say your relationship has suffered from instability and constant mistrust.
Yikes, talk about starting off with a bang. Mr. Wright is throwing shade left and right, doubting he's the father because of Ms. Kane's so-called fibs. He's ready to bolt if the test says he's not the dad. Talk about high stakes. Strap in, it's about to get bumpier.
Mr. Wright, you say that Ms. Kane has repeatedly lied to you, and you have every reason to doubt the paternity of 1-year-old Ariana. Now, you confess that if the results of today's paternity test prove you are not the biological father, you plan to walk out of this courtroom and have nothing to do with Miss Kane again.
Whoa, things just got twisty. Plot thickens with a tangled web of X's and oopsies. Everyone's up in each other's business, blurring the lines between past flings and current Klingons. Keep your eyes peeled. The next turn is a doozy.
So her ex is your friend?
Yeah, told me if I...
Now we're getting places.
Well, we were
okay.
friends. We were friends.
So you went over there, got the car, but when you get to her house, your boy's girl was flirting.
No, she didn't flirt till I left. Like 5 minutes later, she sends me a text message.
Oh.
Here comes the wacky part. The plot jumps to a whole new level of crazy when we find out Ms. Kane might have been a bit too friendly with a tow truck dude right after meeting him. Ooh, the drama. Hang on, there's more wackiness ahead.
So you started dating?
Yes.
And at some point during this time, you got pregnant?
Yes.
Well, before that, I mean, we started dating, then her ex-boyfriend's always sleeping in her bed with her.
What?
No, it wasn't like that. He came over to my house because when he helped me move in, he needed somewhere to stay. My friend was sleeping on the couch. We had
What about
separate
the
beds.
floor? Now, you know you're in court, Miss Kane.
Yes.
Get a load of this mess. The courtroom is buzzing with tales of double dates and sneaky meetups. It's like a soap opera in here, with all the backstabbing and jaw-dropping gossip. You won't believe what's up next.
I don't believe that at all. There was one instance. She went out, she lied to me, told me her friend, they were gonna have a girls' night out. Well, my boy was a door guy at the bar. Come to find out, her ex's friend, and her girl were all on double dates together.
We were on a double date. One of my friends, she asked me to go with her to meet this guy. My ex was there too with his boy.
And you thought it couldn't get messier. It's a free-for-all with exes popping up like whack-a-moles and everyone's story getting knotted like last year's Christmas lights. Brace for impact. The truth bomb is about to explode.
You all see each other, but you also have relationships with your exes.
But see, I admit what I've done.
I had a friendship with my ex.
And now
that was all it ever was between him and I.
You leave the bar at 10:30, go to his house till 6 in the morning.
So, because they wanted to go, and I wanted to go.
Okay, I've heard
It's because
enough
I didn't
of
have
this.
my phone. He
I've heard
stole
enough
my
of this,
phone
because
from me.
regardless,
Things just hit the feels train. The feels are real as Mr. Wright spills the beans about maybe not being the daddy. Emotions are flying high, and the suspense is through the roof. The big reveal is just around the corner.
She told me twice that it might not be mine.
She
and then
told you?
while she was pregnant. And then again, months ago, she told me
hold
that
on,
she wasn't
because she
mine.
just validated your assertion.
I mean, just a couple months ago, she told me. We got into an argument, and I was like, I'm going down and filing for full custody. I'm going to file for paternity test, and I'm filing for full custody. She was like, you might want to go file because she probably ain't yours anyway.
Oh, that's when she said it.
And now for the grand finale.
It has been determined, Mr. Wright, you are Ariana's father.
Buckle up, folks! The case kicks off with the court clerk rolling out the red carpet for the drama of Coates Hooker vs. Baker. Judge Lake steps up to the plate, and the plaintiffs, Ms. Hooker and her mom, strut in, claiming Ms. Baker's late son is the daddy of Ms. Hooker's kiddo. The circus is just getting started, so keep your eyes peeled.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's public denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Things are getting juicy now. Ms. Baker and her daughter stand up for her son, Mr. Abraham, who's sadly not with us. They're throwing a curveball by doubting he's the dad because Mr. Abraham wasn't sure himself before he passed away. Get ready. It's about to get even more bonkers.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Feel the heat turning up? Ms. Hooker spills the beans on how tough it's been, with Ms. Baker's crew denying her baby's paternity. She talks about feeling left out like the last kid picked in dodgeball, not caring what others think anymore. Brace yourself, because there's more drama ahead.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. That's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care.
It just seemed like everybody else looking upside my head like I'm an animal. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm the outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing and none of that.
You'll never guess what's next. Ms. Coates jumps into the fray to defend her daughter, pointing fingers at Ms. Baker and her family for the heartache they've caused. She insists the negative chit-chat has really hurt Ms. Hooker. Just wait till you hear what pops up next.
It's not that she don't care. Her feelings been hurt, so she hold her guard up. It's not Miss Baker who denies Kenaya. It's her family who makes my daughter to be his baby. She fat like them and a whole bunch of stuff. Never from Miss Baker. It's always her family who always have something to say about my grandbaby. My daughter's feelings have been hurt.
Whoa, things take a serious turn here. Judge digs deeper into how Mr. Abraham died. Ms. Baker shares the heart-wrenching story of her son being shot and dying soon after, which really throws a shadow over everything. The emotional meter is about to explode, so don't go anywhere.
May I ask what happened to Keyshawn?
He was shot on a Sunday and he died that Friday.
I'm so very sorry.
A test done because of what the other young man said, and you know.
What did the other young man say?
He told Keyshawn that when he wasn't around, He was supposedly sleeping with Denaya.
Now, here's a twist. A relative remembers Keyshawn acting all fatherly before he died, which kind of clashes with his iffy feelings about being the dad when upset. The plot thickens. What comes next is a real jaw-dropper.
Your mind, Keyshawn accepted that he was the father of this child.
Yeah, in my mind.
From the way he behaved at your home.
I think he just went off what they're saying in their circle of kids. You know, they talk, they have their...
The boy was telling him
that,
that, you know, when you were away...
Hang on to your popcorn. This part's a doozy. They dive into why Kania wasn't mentioned in the obituary, stirring up a hornet's nest of feelings and making Ms. Hooker super upset. The tension's building, and you won't believe what's thrown into the mix next.
What did I do to her?
Oh, you can't go. Don't go there, Miss Blanche, because you know the truth is you.
We're all here to talk, honey.
This is
I ain't never said yay or nay. All I say is what my baby said to me.
Right.
I've talked to her, and she know why we here.
Exactly. And listen.
Yeah, I'm the one who
And
wrote
that's
the letter.
all I'm concerned with. All this other bickering, and I don't got time for it.
Grab your snacks. It's showtime. Moment of truth arrives with the DNA results. Drum roll, please.
Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenaya Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?